Welcome everyone to another episode of the iWorkinSport live interview. This is the show where we talk to accomplished sport business professionals who come here to share their knowledge, their experience, tips and advice in order to help you succeed in your career. If we're just meeting, my name is João Frigerio. I'm the founder of iWorkinSport, and I want to thank you for being here with us today. If you don't know iWorkinSport, we're a company to accelerate your career in sports. So we do that via our events that we're going to talk about in just 1 second. But before I talk about that, just let me know if this is the first time that you're coming here. So if you are, write in the comments that's your first time, and also let us know where you're watching from. And of course, if you're coming back, you know the drill. This is a very interactive. I'll be waiting for your participation during the event. So as I was saying, so I work in sports. We're here to help you accelerate your career. We do that through mainly our events. And in fact, we have two coming up very shortly. So the first one it's here. It's the iWorkinSport Job Fair that is taking place in 1 month exactly, on the 20th of May here in Switzerland. So we have many companies already confirmed. So the likes of FIFA, the UEFA, and the IOC. CAF will be here. Who else? IMG with Endeavor. Puma will be here for the first time. There's several others. There's a link in the description if you want to have more information and register. So go there. And then in 2 months' time, more or less, then we're going to have the Education Virtual Expo. That's for if you're actually looking for a course, a program. You know that I did a master's in sports. My guests did one as well. And we've been talking about that in previous episodes. So if you want to get to know them, there will be several schools and sports management programs at the fair. That's free to attend. It's digital, it's online. There's a link in the description as well. Well, I think this is it in terms of, take that out of the way. I'm going to talk about my guest now. In addition to being a very good friend of mine, someone I really admire, Roger Lodewick is the CEO of DreamHack Sports Games. So that's a business unit of Modern Times Group, or MTG as it's known. And that unit focuses on sports simulation titles. By the way, DreamHack will be at the job fair. So it's another company that will be there. So if you're interested in knowing more about the company, this is for you, about opportunities in gaming and esports. Hang on there. So Roger has over 15 years of experience in the gaming, entertainment, media, and sports industry, and has led different companies of MTG in recent years. Prior to that, he also spent many years at team marketing, so working directly with the UEFA Champions League. We're going to talk about that. And I cannot forget to mention that he's a graduate of the FIFA Master, as I was mentioning. In fact, we were classmates and we did our final project together. So good memories there too. All right, so there's a lot to talk about. I'm going to invite Roger to join me. Right after this. Roger, how are you doing?
I'm very good, João. How are you?
I'm well, man. I'm well. Good to see you. Good to have you here with us. I just mentioned our final project. So someone just posted, a few minutes ago, in saying that it was the best final project ever of the FIFA Master.
Well, that is, I think even when we did it, because we were the 5th edition, even if that would be the case, that would already be great. But I think we now are on the 22nd edition. So, you know, that the best project ever, that would probably be too much credit, but I think it was a great project. It was a project feasibility study about a Israeli-Palestinian football village of hope, which actually Ophir Zardok in the end,
mastermind behind that.
Exactly, he actually executed it. So, you know, all the kudos should go to him. But it was a great project together with Anna Hollerson and you and Ophir. And when you were talking a little bit about that, you know, of course, that we also did the FIFA Master. It brought back some great memories.
Which, by the way, the full transparency, I probably should say that the person who mentioned that was the best was also part of the group, but still, I think, I think that was very nice.
Okay,
Roger. Well, as I mentioned to you before, so this is about career in sport. So we have people that normally follow us from all over the world. In fact, so let us know where you're watching from, and yeah, so let's start. I normally start talking about, you know, my guest's own career. So give us a summary of how you started working in sport, maybe what you studied before it, and yeah, take us in the journey until where you are now.
Sure. I'll give it a little bit longer version, as I think we have a little bit of time. So during my studies, I studied sport economics and communications in the Netherlands. That was my bachelor degree. By chance, the local football club became part of the Champions League, a club called Willem II. And as usual, the people from team marketing, they asked people to help them out with you know, with operational stuff, driving people around, doing copies, you know, very basic things. Of course, studying sport economics, it was the golden opportunity. So by chance, I had the opportunity to become part of that local crew, and you know, took the opportunity, gave it my best, really tried to make a difference to the people so that they would notice me a little bit. And the year after, they asked me again to help at PSV Eindhoven, do a little bit more, get a little bit more responsibility. And that led into finally the year after me actually joining, stopping my studies for half a year, joining team marketing full-time for 3-4 months, and actually starting to get involved into organizing UEFA Champions League matches in Istanbul and in Porto. So that was a super great thing, but I was still doing studies, so I was doing that 1 or 2 years, and then after I finished my studies, I was kind of on a moment where maybe some of the people here on the broadcast are also in kind of, what do I want to do?
When was that? When were you finishing your studies?
I finished in 2003. And I actually applied for the FIFA Master to continue, and I was rejected. So the first time around, another Dutch guy actually got the spot, but they did write, you know, if you know, we really liked your profile, but maybe next year around there's another chance. So there was kind of a year in between where I tried a few things, still did some work for the Champions League, but still kind of felt like I want to do a master degree, and the FIFA Master for me was really something that I wanted to do. So I applied again, and luckily I got admitted, and did you know, a wonderful year. I think one of the best experiences I had, and is not you know, promoting the FIFA Master, but I learned really, particularly in Leicester, humanities of sport. I still love that semester. So many great insights about where sports comes from and how important culture actually is in anything that you do.
Yeah, I think that was my favorite too.
And then, sorry?
I think that was my favorite too.
Yeah. So, you know, kudos to the guys there. And at the end of the master, like everybody starts to look for a job. And I was the whole time in contact with the people at Team. And they offered me a full-time job. So I joined Team Marketing in the event and product department, starting to work on the UEFA Cup, but also doing a bit of transportation manager for the Champions League and the Super Cup final. And did that for about 2-3 years. And that was the time when also the UEFA Cup started to transition into the UEFA Europa League as we know it now.
Yeah.
So that was a great learning of how to scale a business because we went from organizing 12 matches to organizing 204 matches from one season to the next.
Right.
So it was a massive operation, but really great insights that I got from doing that. And I did that for another 3 years, and then moved to the media rights sales team, and started selling media rights across multiple territories in Europe as well as sub-Saharan Africa. And that's also how I got to know my mother company, Modern Times Group, because they are originally a broadcaster. One of the founding partners, I would say, from the Champions League, the longest consistent commercial partner in the last 27 years that the Champions League exists. And they were super interested in developing esports. They saw that traditional broadcasting and traditional viewing was, slowing down, was also getting an older audience, and they felt that gaming and esports was the next big thing. And the cool thing with gaming and esports is that you deal with people that love gaming and esports. The downside a little bit can also be that a business grows just out of a passion, and at one point to really scale the business to the next level, you also need other expertise. I always say a football club should be run 50% by fans of the club and 50% by people who really don't like the club but are just pure professionals in their field. And I think that's also one of the things that they wanted to achieve here. So they were looking for people that they trusted from the traditional business to then also start helping the esports business to grow that into what they saw was the next big thing. And that's right. A little bit how I grew into Modern Times Group, first via an influencer company and then via DreamHack. And now I'm really at home at DreamHack Sports Games, where we transform traditional sports into esports. That is very shortly said.
And you had a stint as well with boxing, right? So was that part also of the same group or not?
Yes, so that was more or less the testing phase, I think, between both MTG and myself as well. So working for the Champions League is obviously fantastic, but there is maybe also something else. You're always looking for this unique opportunity to actually do the same thing that Klaus Hempel and Jürgen Lenz did for team marketing in Champions League. You're also looking for something like that in another sport. And we thought, okay, which other sport can have a massive impact and is still super unstructured? And then you come at boxing. Boxing, there's lots. I mean, Floyd Mayweather was year on year the best paid athlete, in the world. But he fought one fight, and that's it. So it was particularly for broadcasters or for brand partners, super difficult to build a business case around boxing. So we came up with a concept, and we got kind of all the ingredients. We got people who understood the broadcast and brand partnership world. We had a box promoter, and we had a broadcaster who understood, how to make a media product as well. So we put those three together, and we founded indeed the World Boxing Super Series, and tried to establish what the founders of Team Marketing did in the Champions League. So that's where we got to know each other, and that's also where I kind of got introduced to the Modern Times Group world and moved from team to kind of the more broadcasting environment and esports and gaming environment.
And how was that transition going into gaming? Just before you answer, I'm going to say hi to some people that are already connecting. So we have Chinedu Adiku from Nigeria. Erica, of course, watching us from Lisbon. Hello, Erica. Regina is in Brazil. We have Alex in Portugal. And there is Jesus saying hi from Rennes, France. There is already a comment here. I'll get to that soon, Chinedu. 1 second. But yeah, how was that then transition going to gaming? I mean, were you a gamer before? Probably you didn't have to be, but was by not being then, was it more difficult? How was that process?
It's not, because it kind of, you of course need to have some form of affinity with the product. And I remember very well my first esports event. CSGO was not something that I was very familiar with, but the president of the group took me to an event in Malmö, and I still get goosebumps from it when I think about the atmosphere, the passion that people have. And that is the thing that we are selling in the event world and in the sports world. We're selling a vision, we're selling, a feeling. And that is something that you can transform in anything. So as long as you understand, and can sell more or less to anybody the feeling of this is something big, this is something cool, this is something unique, you need to be part of this. It doesn't really matter what you do or what you sell. So the transition from traditional sports to esports wasn't that different, because you're organizing events, you're broadcasting tournaments, you're selling brand partnerships, and you're creating a brand and you're creating a story. And that's in many aspects everywhere the same. It's just understanding what is it that you're selling and how can you actually translate that. I think one of the big things that is actually I learned was that they are not one-on-one. And I think that is that I quite quickly learned, that you cannot just copy paste what you do on one side and bring it to the other side. And that is where, having that ability to fine tune it to work for both worlds, I think that is something that.
Is there one main difference that comes to mind when you talk about it?
Yeah, I mean, just the fans. If you think about fans in sport, they have a different relationship, or they consume content differently than gamers. And then esports.
We think about, when we think about esports, we think about people just playing video games, maybe from home. But if you go and see it, you have like massive, events with thousands and thousands of people filling up arenas. Is there hooliganism in esports?
No,
not yet.
I think this is the. Sorry?
Not yet.
No, I think it is. It's actually the biggest surprise that I had, and I remember it very well when I went first time to a DreamHack event, a DreamHack festival. I went in there, and like I said, I like gaming, but I don't game myself really. And I went in there and I saw the people, and it was so peaceful. It was so positive. There's no alcohol, there's no drugs. It's very social. It's the complete opposite of what many people think gaming and esports is about. People, fat people,
Is it a
gaming.
much younger audience, you think,
It,
as well?
yeah, it is. It is a lot younger. I think there's also a difference between what I call traditional esports, so like shooting games like CS:GO or strategy like Dota 2. There the audience is younger. I think for sports games, the audience is still young, but a little bit older than traditional sports.
I
And
see.
that also comes a bit with the relationship with the traditional sports world.
Great. That sounds all very interesting. Just so before I jump to the next one, I actually want to know what your day is like, if you do have a sort of normal day at work. But let me just address a comment here by Chinedu. He says the FIFA Master Program appears quite expensive for intending students from developing nations. I think alumni like yourself, you can do a lot by preaching the message of more scholarship opportunities for these categories of people. Yeah, definitely, it's not affordable for everyone, but check them out. To go to their website, and because I know that every year they're adding more and more scholarships. I think for the next edition, more than half of the class will have some sort of scholarship. A few will
Wow.
have full scholarship, others will share. But check it out. There is a lot of there's growing help or support there.
That's amazing. I remember in our edition it was one, I think, if I'm not mistaken, with a scholarship.
Yeah, there was, I think, one full and one that was splits. I actually
Okay.
was lucky and got a half scholarship
Okay.
to do it.
So
Thankfully,
that's
otherwise
great.
I wouldn't be able to do it. So yeah, Roger. So what's a normal day like for you?
It can be super weird ones where, or like, well, today, if I take today, my day started at 5 o'clock in the morning, flying from after being yesterday in the Netherlands for a couple of meetings, um, landing here, writing an email because we are pitching for some new business, so trying to finish a pitch. Then we're organizing also at the same time our first sports gaming festival, which is taking place in a month's time, where there's still lots of moving pieces. So also trying to work that. Then we actually had a review every year. We review all our properties. So to give you an idea, we work with the NHL, we work with FIFA, we work with the IOC, we work with the European Tour, with lots of football leagues. And I think that's one of the biggest learnings, and also coming back to your point before of differences, is the ability to adapt in the esports world or in the gaming world, or even I would say the world outside of a Champions League or a big property world. Is so important that you constantly rethink: are you doing the right thing? Are you producing, creating the right content? Are you communicating the right way with the audience? And that was today one of the things we did for one of our properties, and that was really great, and very inspiring, because we're actually looking to quite mix that up and come up with a new proposition. So yeah, it's super broad. I'm very hands-on in that sense, and I get my nose involved in really a lot of things. That's great, but it's also probably at times also super annoying for some of the people within our organization. But
Is,
I really like what I do, and that's
is there a favorite thing that you like about your job? What
sorry.
if I were to ask you what is the thing that you really love about it? Is there one in particular?
I love the conceptual phase. So
Creating.
yeah. So creating what we are, like I said, for example, we look back at last season, think about how things are going and how we can make that better, and how you can grow a property. For example, you know, I don't want to just sit and redo the same thing like last year. So that's one of the outcomes why we are doing a festival now. It's never been done before, but it is an opportunity to actually develop lots of properties all at the same time, because we are creating a big festival where around 10,000 people are coming, while if we would organize these events separately, you might get 1,500 to 2,000. So all of a sudden you're actually elevating lots of properties which would normally take 2-3 years in hopefully 1 year. So looking at developing, conceptualizing, and talking with the clients about how we can grow the properties, that's the main thing I love to do.
Cool. Roger, so just saying hi to Fred from Uganda is saying hi as well.
Hi.
And if you were to kind of assess your sort of skills, so what were the skills necessary, for you to thrive in your career?
I am persistency, maybe. I think. You know me, quite well. I think when I really believe in something, I really go and really keep on pushing to really achieve it, and go for it. So I think that is something that when I really believe in something, I think I have often the ability to really also realize that. And I think that is one of my key strengths. I think the other one is also being Dutch, being quite straight and
That's
honest.
a great quality.
Yes, it is. It is a lot of times. It's not always, but I think understanding that the fact that you always meet twice in life, always go out when you leave through the front door, and these kind of things, they're super important. And I think about 20 years ago, I really made that choice in life to always be honest. And when you're honest, then lots of things actually become very simple, even if there are difficult messages. And if you live that, then eventually, that will also pay off for you, but also for the organization and for the properties that you work on.
Yeah, great, man. Roger, I think we talked a little about how you got involved with gaming in esports, and you talked a little bit about the differences as well between them. But maybe tell me a bit better how you think that the previous work that you had working with football in particular, with team marketing, prepared you for this, what you're doing. And I know it's obviously Champions League is a huge event, and you were sort of involved in the preparation and also media rights and sales. So I think there's similarities there, but specifically for, I don't know if there was any difference, because it's gaming, it's something very new. It's the audience, I suppose, is very different. Is there anything that you say, yeah, that's what I did at team marketing, really prepared me for what I'm doing?
Yeah, I said before, there's not so many differences, but there are a gigantic amount of differences in a way between the two industries. One, the Champions League exists 25 years. It is probably one of the best sports properties, both in organization, in branding, in monetization, that is in the world. So I had the perfect school, and like you said, I've been there 12 years, and I've seen everything from the event side, from the brand side, from the sales side. So I really understand well how that works with such a premium global property. Now the ability comes that you need to be able to adapt that to a industry that is in its infant stages, is super popular and is growing massively, but still has lots of the challenges that traditional sports, when rights became centralized, had in 1990 or 1995, in that period. So they fine-tuned their commercial concepts and everything, over the last 20, 25 years. And in esports, that is happening in the last 5 years. So all of a sudden, there are billions in an industry that was, like I said, 5, 10 years ago, very small or non-existing. So that growth, to be able, I understand it's like reading a manual doesn't mean that you can actually deliver a property. It is being able to adapt that and to adapt that to the esports and gaming world. And it's still a trial and error. We learned a lot, we understand a lot, but there's still things that, like I said today, we're looking at doing things completely different, because it is constantly still evolving, and it's not as organized and structured and restricted almost like in the normal sports world, where the level of flexibility and evolvement that you have is super small. And here you can do lots of things in this space because it's not so regulated. So I don't know if that gave an answer to your question, but
definitely. And let me ask you more about career then. So what are the current, let's say, opportunities for those who want to work in esports? And I'm thinking specifically from people graduating from masters like the one you did. We at iWorkinSport collaborate with many of them. So if you think of that profile, what would you say are the opportunities?
I think the main thing that this industry needs is professionals. And that's no disrespect to the people that are in the industry and founded the industry, because without them, none of this would be possible. But it now requires the next level of skills and a different set of skills, an additional set of skills is probably the right way of saying it, to take the next step in the development of esports. So if you're thinking about the management, project management, if I look at our own company, I think we are really strong in project management and in the production of our events. And that is a part where I would say your knowledge of esports is less important than your skill set in what you're in the area that you're doing. So I think in esports there's lots of opportunities for many people to get involved, and it's a super exciting area. Like I said, there is great value in working for major sports organization, and I would always recommend everybody to do that. But there's also a complete different dynamic if you work for an esports or a gaming company, because there's so much more flexibility, there's so much more going on, so much more development. We haven't even spoken about the metaverse or Web3, all those things. That development is I've seen a few small.
We can certainly talk about that. Are you working with that?
Not yet, but it is definitely something that we will look at. Not yet now, But I definitely think that in a year time from now, it will be something that we will look at more serious. I think for us, we're not that size of organization. You said we are about 50, 60 people within our company. But I would definitely think that our sister company, ESL, there are 600-700 people. They will definitely look into this, and they will definitely make a big impact in that environment. I think it's super cool. It's also still in its infant stages, but there's so many things going on there that if you're one of the early and first movers, you can really make a big impact for your career and being an expert in this field. So there's upsides to going to both sides.
Yeah, no, for sure. Continue to talk about career opportunities. I mentioned that DreamHack will be at the job fair, the iWorkinSport job fair, on the 20th of May, so in 1 month's time. So for people that are already registered and will be attending the event, so what will DreamHack be looking for in terms of candidates? I know that you're keen in receiving applications by people. Like there is going to be a call for spontaneous applications. So if you have different profiles and are interested in working in that type of environment, I know that they're keen in receiving applications. But give us a bit more of information in terms of what you're looking for.
Yeah, I think there's two things to consider when we are hiring a person. I think most of all for us, what is important that we hire the right person. So not so much of course, the right skill set for certain position, but the right person, the person with the right attitude, the right background, the right characteristics, somebody that fit into the team, somebody that you feel comfortable with dealing on a daily basis, also that you can put together with clients. So I think that is for me always, before I even look at when I meet somebody in person, like at the fair, that will be the first thing is, do I like this person, and do I like communicating with this person?
Personal soft skills are quite important, you're saying.
Is super important. I think I mean, not trying to say something about my own way, but I started as a driver and work my way up. I'm not super bright, I'm not a genius. No, I'm a hard worker, and I learned and I tried and I did my best and I went the extra mile, and I sometimes held myself back where I thought I should step in. So it's those skills cannot be learned really. So you either have them, you can be adjusted a little bit, but you need to have them. So that is something that I find super important in hiring people is who is this person? Is this a person that fits into the team? And the second one is depending a little bit on where your career is. You're looking a little bit at the education side and on professional side. I started organizing transportation as my first job. I didn't have a background in transportation, but I did have a background in rational thinking and organizing. So more saying that whatever you studied doesn't necessarily need to be the place where you end up. But we are looking for people that either have a good profile, meaning have a good background work-wise or studying, or have maybe less of that, but have a strong affinity with some of the games or sports that we are involved in. And because, like I said, it's like running a football team. You need to have a bit of both to be able to represent both sides.
Yeah.
So that's what we're looking for. So if people have a passion for, like I said, for FIFA or for NHL or for golf or for racing, anything that has to do with sports games, then you already have one of the things that we are looking for. And then if you also have an interest in, like I said, for us, a big growing area will be events. So our own events, and maybe also do events for clients. And that is something where I also see a big need for talent, for people that want to travel the world and organize esports event around the world.
Well, that sounds exciting.
Yes.
There's a question here, quite interesting one from Fred in Uganda. It says, my question is, how much of gaming happens via internet usage? Because many parts of the world with limited access to internet may be missing out in the gaming industry. And I would say the gaming industry is missing out in a large part of the world as a business so far. So talk to us a bit about that. I mean, of the tournaments that you do, is it mainly physical events, or you have a preliminary phase that it's all played online? How does that work?
Yes.
And talk about that challenge in areas of the world where you don't have really a great internet.
Yeah. I don't have the data on in which areas there is, lesser internet usage. So I can't really say, but I think there are obviously, if you're looking at it on a global level, a fairly decent distribution of internet and of people being able to game. That's constantly improving and will improve, particularly in certain areas and continents. But our leagues are generally organized first on an online environment. So, for example, for the NHL, there's a period where you can just subscribe online, and then afterwards that runs into a more professionally broadcasted environment to then go into a physical event. So that's normally the setup of how we deal with it. Same goes for the European Tour. At one point we had, I think, 500,000 people participating in the European Tour. And that amounted then into 8 people actually participating in a broadcast event that was physical at one of the golf tournaments of the European Tour.
And are the majority of the participants of your events, are they all in Europe, or is it global? You have people in South America, or?
Yeah, I think the majority of the people that are participating are Europe and North America. That's where the majority of the people are coming from. It's also a little bit the sports that we represent, like an NHL, for example, or even FIFA. FIFA is, of course, also played quite a lot in Asia. But those are the main continents and areas where people play, and that's also where most of the people have decent internet, I would say.
Okay. Roger, in terms of difficulties, then challenges, so you've been working in sport for so many years. Was there one that was you point out as maybe the biggest challenge that you had, and maybe how you overcame it?
Oof, that is a good question.
I know that doing a project with me wasn't easy.
yeah, maybe.
But apart from that,
no, I think it was probably coming out of. We speak quite often about a golden cage. So when you're organizing the Champions League, everything works. You're working on a perfect concept. You're perfectionizing that. Everything is possible to make sure that you have the best product. So I think the biggest challenge for me was stepping out of that environment, and I think this is one of the biggest learnings I actually have after being 12 years. I had a good job. There was no need to leave a team. But I saw this opportunity of organizing this, World Boxing Super Series, and took that leap of faith. But adjusting to what was working in, the golden cage, in an environment where the best of the best is working, to try to adapt that in a different environment where you're working with different restrictions, with different people, with not an organization that is set up to deal with the same kind of pressure, with the same kind of development. That is probably the biggest challenge I had in my professional career. And how I overcome that is by falling and getting up again. And getting up again, and this is why I say, it's so important to be honest and always be kind to people, because eventually people will pick you up and they will, see you again, and will take you and give you another opportunity to do something, and you learn from that. And I think that is the humbleness I think you need to get after being in an environment that is dominating sports quite significantly.
Right. So I asked you about a challenge, right? The difficulty that you had. Now I want to know about I was going to say an achievement, but so I want to talk about two things. One, it's the best sort of moments that you had maybe working in sports, and that could be a personal level, as an spectator or at work. But and I also want to know professionally about then what would you say was the greatest achievement that you feel very proud of?
I think the biggest achievement that I really feel proud of is what we're doing at DreamHack Sports Games right now. And I'm not saying that because I'm there right now, but I really think that the whole team and the whole development we've gone through in the last 1.5, 2 years, growing a company from 15 people with small properties to where we are right now, working with some of the biggest organizations, and developing and organizing and reorganizing the organization to develop more. I must say, I really think it's a great pleasure to go every day to work. And that is, like I said, it's partly because of the people that we work with, partly because of the success that we had in the last 1 to 2 years, but it's also the how to say, the need to keep on improving, to keep on growing, to keep on developing, and it's just a really fun time right now. So I think that is the biggest achievement for me, but I think that's something that we as the whole team did together. I think the other biggest achievement is that my wife is still with me after traveling and moving. Well, first of all, being
How
with
is that
me.
possible?
Yes, but we moved. I worked for 2 years in the Netherlands. Then we moved to Sweden. After 1 year, we moved to Denmark. I have 3 kids. Their ability to constantly adapt as well. I think it's not my achievement; it's their achievement that they are still with me. But yeah, that's on a personal level the biggest.
You have a beautiful family, all women,
all women, yes,
including the dog you were telling me.
Yes, even the dog.
Right.
So.
And on the sporting side, maybe a favorite sporting moments, working in sports for so many years.
I think it is actually the moment that I didn't see, and it was actually in Neuchâtel. We were in Neuchâtel. It was the Champions League final. It was the 3-3 final in Istanbul.
Right.
Liverpool AC Milan, where we were still working on our project.
We probably watched that game together.
Yeah, and I still remember where we were. I think that is one of the most amazing comebacks in sports at that level, and in the final, 3-0, 3-3, and then winning on penalties. That's fantastic story. The most disappointing one is in 2010 when the Netherlands played the final against Spain. And I still remember the little pinky toe from Casillas, saving Ian Robben's almost goal. That is probably, I've never been so gutted after losing a match really for 2-3 days. That was the worst experience I had.
That's tough.
Yes. Yeah, and says the guy who has been a world champion, but we have played 3 finals and we're still not winning it. So it's a bit of a frustration.
I'm sorry, not my fault. There's another good question here from Jesus in Rennes, France. So, what do you think could be necessary to grow the gaming industry in developing and not developed countries? I think that's the internet part we discussed is one. Let me add to that question as well. Do you have that global vision? Is that something that you're looking for the future? Because today your audience is mainly in Europe, in the US, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
But is that where you want to go? You want to grow to the developing nations?
Definitely. I think one of the first continents where we are speaking is Latin America, South America. I think there's a great passion for sports and for sports gaming, maybe as well. So I think that is definitely an area to develop in. I think to come back to the question about how can gaming and esports develop in developing countries. I think that is the part where some of my predecessors, were so successful, and they loved the game, they loved what they do, and they loved bringing people together. DreamHack was founded 25 years ago because 10 guys and girls came together, connected their computer. There was no internet, and created a LAN party. And that LAN party went from 30 people, went to 50 people, to 150 people, to 200 people, to eventually, the 50,000 people that are now coming to just one single event. There's 350,000 people going to DreamHack festivals all over the world, going from India to the US, to France, to Spain, to anywhere. So if there is not right now an infrastructure for internet, then there is always, where there's a will, there's a way to create, people coming together, having a good time, because that is in the end what gaming and esports and any festival or any event is about, is people want to be together and have a good time. And whether they're watching a Champions League, or whether they're watching CSGO, or whether they are watching golf simulation, as long as they're having a good time, then you have your event. So it comes with the passion and coming up with that idea to create the infrastructure and the demand for such an event. Also in developing countries.
Roger, we're actually getting to the end of the stream, of the interview. I do have maybe another 1 or 2 questions, but I'd like to know: do you play any of those games? What's your favorite one? Are you good at any of them?
No, but racing is my
racing.
Yes, yeah. Formula One racing is the one I like the most.
Oh, man, I remember when I was young, it was already cool then. Nowadays, it must be like just perfect.
Yeah, no, that is definitely something, and I think the other one, and I tried that out, and I think there's a great potential, is golf simulation.
Golf.
Yes. So there is now really great technology where you can really play any golf course around the world with super accuracy.
Is there an actual club that you swing, or?
Yes. So it's exactly it's that you more or less place a device behind your ball, and then you can hit the ball and you can play the course. And I think there's
Who's the maker of that game?
Sorry?
Who's the maker?
Well, one of them is Trackman. That is also, this applied to the PGA and the European Tour, and they start now also doing their own golf simulation tournaments. And I think that is something that can be actually really a sport on its own, because golf is great, but golf takes 4 hours to walk and to run, and then you have to go to the golf course and come back. So all in all, half a day is gone. And this is something that you can do a lot faster, a lot more mobile,
and cheaper.
And cheaper, exactly. So it's a lot more accessible, and it is something that you can also do with friends. You can play any course. You don't need to travel the world to play any course. So it becomes a different kind of product, a different kind of feeling. Golf by itself is still a great product, but to combine that or complement that with this, I think that's the other one I would love to get a bit more into.
Very good. The FIFA one you don't play?
No, I lost the skill. Let's say I think when it just came out, I played a little bit, but by now it's just, if you play against some of the guys in the office, it's just no fun. You get your ass kicked with 16-0.
I have to say, you had good skills on the real pitch. A good number 9.
Yeah, well, thank you very much. That's
Van Rogers.
Van Rogers, exactly.
They would call you. All right, Roger. So just getting to the hour here. Just a few comments. So Fred actually remembers the game you talked about. Jesus says all the things you said only shows us the great professional and person you are. I cannot agree more, Jesus.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here with us. Lastly, I normally end the interview asking my guests to recommend either a book or a podcast or YouTube channel. Anything. You can recommend 1 or 2 or 3. Anything that you think that our audience will like.
I don't read books.
Melissa in Cascais as well.
I don't read books that much. I started on the last holiday a book, which was just a normal fiction book, which was quite interesting, but I didn't finish it. I listen a lot to podcasts. The one that helped me a lot, and particularly in developing as CEO of a company, was Gary Vaynerchuk, Gary V. You have to get through the initial annoyance of somebody super excited and everything's super cool and always great and amazing. But if you really start listening to lots of the things he's saying, there is quite a lot of truth in it. And it helped me a lot to deal with.
And he's a hustler, just like how you described yourself.
No, well, not on that side, but I think the way how he deals with his team, with clients, with anybody, it's a very positive attitude, and I think that is something. And also, how to deal with when putting things in perspective. I think he gives also quite a lot of energy. So I think that is for me something that I really liked to listen to. I haven't listened to it a lot in the last while, but it is something that is lots of energy, lots of positivism, and that is definitely something
he's someone I follow too.
Yeah.
Like him. Very good, very good. Roger, I'm going to say bye to everyone that is with us. Stay there another minute. Before I go, there's Lamin saying hi to us as well. Thank you for being here. It was fantastic, man, talking to you. Anything else that you wanted to say that maybe I didn't let you.
Yeah, I think the only thing I want to give back to everybody is you always meet twice in life. So
Explain.
Sorry?
Explain. What do you mean meet twice?
Like like we meet now in a second time in life. We studied together and had a great time. We did a project together, and we meet again in life in a different setting, where I'm a different person, or have a different background, have gone through different things, and I respect you as a person of who you were back then, and that's why also we are now speaking and we are still friends. So that's why I say try always to leave through the front door and be kind to people and leave them with dignity, behind or part in a positive way, because there will come a time where you will meet again, and then at least having in your back mind that saying Joao is a great person, positive person, trustworthy person, a kind person, hardworking person, that is something that will always stick with people. So that's why I always write on when people leave our office or get another great opportunity somewhere else, I say, remember, we always meet twice in life. So I really hope that people take that with them. If there's one thing I say, think about that when you make any decision in life, you always meet twice.
Great lesson, my dear friend. Thank you so much for being here, for sharing that with everyone. Just gonna close this. Don't go anywhere. Just going to remind everyone who's still sort of here watching us. Thank you for being here. I just want to remind you that if you're interested in meeting recruiters, DreamHack will be at the job fair, and many other companies. You can go in the link in the description, check it out. And then a month after, if you're actually looking for programs for in sport and sport management, check out the Education Virtual Expo. That one is digital, free to attend. Check that out as well. There's also a link in the description. So so if I just want to say bye, thank you for everyone that was here. We'll be back next week, and yes, you'll be hearing a lot from us. From iWorkinSport. So I hope to see you soon. Bye, everyone.
Bye.